the Srinagar and then chapter 74, Deliverance of Shupal at the Rajasuri. Text 40. Lingam Bhagavata Srinvams
Bhagavata Srinivas.
I started using something.
Tatparasya Tato Napaiti Yahasopi Yati Adaham Sukrita Achyuta Lingam Bhagavata Srinvams Tatparasya Tato Napaiti Yahasopi Yati Adaha Sukrita Achyutaha Lingam Bhagavata Srinvams Tatparasya Janasya Tato Napaiti Yahasopi Yati Adaha Sukrita Achyuta Anyone who fails to immediately leave the place where he hears the criticism of the Supreme Lord or his faithful devotee will certainly fall down because bereft of his pious credit. Purpose? Or there is no purpose. Anyone who fails to immediately leave the place where he hears criticism of the Supreme Lord or his faithful devotee will certainly fall down bereft of his pious credit. 'Tis explained that bereft of all good fortune, Shishupal spoke these and other insults. But the Supreme Lord said nothing, just like a lion ignores the jackal's cry. Upon hearing such intolerable blasphemy of the Lord, several members of the assembly covered their ears and walked out, angrily cursing the king of Chedi. Then the sons of Pandu became furious. Together with the warriors of Matsya, Laikaya, and Sringaya clans, they rose up from their seats with weapons poised, ready to kill Shishupal. Undaunted, Shishupal then took up his sword and shield in the midst of the assembly. and hurled insults at those who sided with Lord Krishna. At that point, the Supreme Lord stood up and checked his devotees. He then angrily sent forth his razor sharp fist and severed the head of his enemy as he was attacking. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains the Lord's action as follows. If Lord Krishna had done nothing, there probably would have been a savage fight on the sacrificial grounds, and thus the whole community ceremony would have been drenched in blood, spoiling the sanctified atmosphere. Therefore, in order to protect the Rajasuya sacrifice of Krishna's beloved devotee, Yudhishthir, the Lord immediately severed Shishupal's hair with his razor-sharp disc in such a way that not a drop of blood fell within the sacrificial ground. The Lord's glories are such a great nectar that it can give life to a dead consciousness. A materialistic person roaming around like a dead corpse can get life simply by hearing the nectarine producing. These glories of the Lord can enliven the spirit soul, nourish the spirit soul, and gladden the spirit soul. And therefore, the Acharyas explain the parameter of goodness is when the glories of the Lord are chanted. The parameter of auspiciousness is when the glories of the Lord are chanted. Tadinam duddinam manye katha piyush varjitam. That day is a bad day when there is no singing and hearing of the glories of the Lord. What is ill omen or ominous moment? When there is no glorification of the Lord is going on, that moment is the ominous moment. So therefore, the Acharyas explain not spending time in hearing the glories of the Lord and spending time and thus spending time, not spending time in hearing the glories of the Lord and thus spending time in hearing of material subject matters, mundane subject matters, that itself the Acharyas compare as poison. मनुष्य जन्म पाया राधा कृष्ण न भजी जानिया सुनिया विषु आइनो. So not hearing the subject matters related to Radha and Krishna, hearing of the mundane subject matters that itself is considered as poison by the acharyas. Material, mundane subject matter is poison. So whereas Krishna Katha is the food for the soul, the Gramya Katha is poison for the soul. Krishna Katha is food, Gramya Katha is poison. In which category? Or where does the criticism of the Supreme Lord and the criticism of the devotees fall? Gramya Katha is not criticism. Gramya Katha is no glorification of Krishna and glorification of mundane subject matters. Criticism of the Supreme Lord and criticism of the devotees is the most dangerous pedestal on which one can board or embark on. The most degrading, dangerous, sinister, blatant pedestal on which one can embark upon is the criticism of the Lord and the devotees. The most severe reactions one is going to get owing to this. So that is the idea, or that is the warning which is given by the Supreme. In fact, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining the hallmark of a Vaishnava is he doesn't want to do any ninda. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that ninda tyag, that is Vaishnava. Vaishnava. The giving up the mentality to criticize others is what a Vaishnava is all about. So this mentality to criticize is very dangerous. Life after life after life. I believe in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord explains this. What is that verse? I think. Pranaham Dishita Purans. Bhagavad Gita 16th chapter. Comes, Lord is telling life after life, I cast them into species, demoniac species, where there is no hope and scope. See, point. See, the Lord is saying here, those who are envious and mischievous, the Lord is saying here, those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast them into the ocean of material existence, into the various demoniac species of life, perpetually. So, poison, one will die one time. If one takes poison, one will die one time. But this Vaishnav Ninda is so dangerous that one will die for hundreds and millions of lifetimes. That means that is why the Lord is saying here. These envious and mischievous personalities, They are the lowest among the men. So I perpetually cast them into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. So they will not have any hope and scope for thousands and millions of lifetimes, and that is why the word perpetual is used. So that means poison kills once, but Vaishnav Ninda kills millions of times. That is the whole point. That is the equation that the Lord is presenting here. The Prabhupada saying in the purport here, the demoniac person may not agree to accept the supremacy of the Supreme God. And it is a fact that he may act according to his own whim, but his next birth will depend on the decision of the Supreme God, and not on himself. So, in the Bhagavatam, third canto, it stated that an individual's soul after his death is put into the womb of a mother, where he gets a particular type of body under the supervision of superior power. Therefore, in the material existence, we find so many species of life. All are arranged by the superior power. As for the demoniac, it is clearly said here that they are perpetually put in the womb of demons and they continue to be envious, the lowest of mankind. The demoniac species of men are held to be always full of lust, always violent and hateful, and always unclean. Many kinds of interest in general are considered to Pradhan. So you see, Tanah Krishnan, Sansaresha Naradama, Shiprumi, Ajasrama Shuvan, Asurit Eva Yunus. Life after life, they cast them into these demonic species. As I see here. So, Vaishnav Ninda, very, very dangerous. It is not poison. Poison kills one life, spoils one life. It kills million lives. So it kills million lives. Shipra Majasya Asuri Eva Yunishu. Demonic species guaranteed, where one will be fully full of lust, hate, envy, and so on. Okay, continue one's drive, one envy, and so on. The Shastras explain स्थूलपानी समयदि भक्त निंदा करें भागवत प्रमाण तथापि शीघ्र मरे. So the Shastras are explaining Sulapani Samayadi Bhakta Ninda Kare. If anyone does criticism of the devotees of the Lord, I believe this verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Kaviraj Goswami is explaining that even if that person who is doing the blasphemy of the devotees, right or wrong, doesn't matter. Right or wrong doesn't matter. If anyone is doing the blasphemy of devotees, even if that person is as exalted as Lord Shiva, Sulapani means Lord Shiva. Sulapani, even if that person is as exalted as Lord Shiva, and there it is explained, Bhagavad Pramana, the entire Bhagavatam, the entire Vedic Shastras, the entire array of the Vaishnavas are giving that praman, giving that testimony, heralding that such a person, very soon such a person will die. Very soon. Bhagavad Pramana, Tathapi Shigra Mare. The entire Bhagavatam is testimony to this fact. So criticism, whether right or wrong, very dangerous. And therefore, one should avoid. Therefore, the Shastra is saying avoid even hearing criticism. So wherever there is Vaishnav Ninda going on, it is explained that one should, if one is Brahmanical, if one can counter and defeat it by philosophy, one can do that. One should do that. If one is not able to do that, immediately one should leave that place. That is what it explained. Or it is explained that if one is a Kshatriya, immediately one can take out a sword. That is what the Pandavas did. That is what the Pandavas did. Immediately they took out sword and Shishupal had to become quiet. Why? Because he also has to now take out the sword. Fight. So now no more criticism. Now he has to pay the price for it. Whereas others who are not in a position to give a fight and stop it right there, they block their ears on the left. Well, Lord Krishna was unaffected. That is there. But you see, this is the kind of reaction which is explained. So therefore, it is said that okay. Now the basic injunction is either one should be able to stop it, stop the other person from criticizing, or one should leave. That's the point. So in Kali Yuga, probably leaving may be better. But if we are able to defeat philosophically, if not, better to go. Better to leave that place. So the Lord's criticism, the devotees' criticism, is so ghastly, so deadly. That is why Srila Prabhupada always used to say that Prabhupada always used to say that you don't know who are the fellow devotees who are there staying around you. If you get to know them, you will faint. Prabhupada used to say. Therefore, be respectful. Therefore, be very, very respectful. And the association of devotee is not a cheap phenomenon. It is a great it is the greatest blessing which one can. So also in the fourth canto of Bhagavatam it is explained that when the demigods they look at the devotees from the top, they see four hands. They don't see two hands. They see four-handed. That means they see the devotees in four-handed form. Like they don't see two hands. It is explained about the fourth canto it comes. So therefore one has to be very, very respectful. Otherwise it is very dangerous. Now one may ask the question, okay, so anyways, this Shishupal, he was casting a very dangerous and hellish trajectory for himself. Anyways, he should have, he would have paid a very heavy price for the blasphemy going. Why did the Lord intervene and kill him? Actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Pad explains, Lord intervened to protect the sanctity of the spiritual place, of the sacrifice, Rajasuya sacrifice ceremony. Because the devotees had all gathered with great hope that something very wonderful will come. Now, like suppose something very wonderful will come. So on a holy occasion, on a festive occasion, one may not want something very bad. Like I remember my sister's marriage, there was a verbal fight on both the sides, bride and bridegroom. So one of them slapped. So our Chachaji, he got a slap from the other party. Yeah, because the people are drunk and on their misbehave, like so they drink in the misbehave like that. So she was so upset. She was crying and all that. So you don't expect something bad to happen on a festive occasion. What to say upon a holy occasion? Like to say all that, the Lord intervened. This is great mercy of the Lord that the Lord intervened. Like, now is okay, great mercy for all the devotees. No, the great mercy on Shishupal also. Had the Lord left him, Lord could have left the sacrificial ceremony also, or they could have just gone on a Harinam to some other place and started the sacrifice, you know. So, or they could have just caught him and thrown him off, you know. And but then what would have happened? Shishupal would have got tremendous, terrible reactions. The Lord intervened, the Lord killed him and offered him liberation. So for the Kalyana Shishupal, the Lord killed him. Had the Lord not intervened, Shishupal, millions of lives he would have suffered. And the Lord not only killed him, he washed off all his sins, he cleaned him up, no? And he put him back, and he put him in Brahmajyoti. That okay, now start from zero. No? This is the Supreme Lord. How merciful the Supreme Lord is. How merciful. Had the Lord not intervened millions of times, perpetually cast into demonic species. But the Lord intervened to purify him so that, and again give him a chance. This is Krishna's mercy. Even to the lowest of the people like Shishupal. Even to the lowest. Immediately the Lord will. Yes. So let's stop here for today. Hare Krishna. Yes.
People devotee, Vaishnava devotee is criticized by some senior devotees for his betterment. Then what will happen? The devotee who are criticized, will he get the same result?
Yeah, criticism is never for the betterment. Criticism means speaking ill about others in front of everyone. Correction is never given, should not be given in public. Correction should be given in person, private, one to one, and that also by one's own spiritual authority. One should have the adhikar to offer some correction. A teacher can correct his student, that is okay, for the betterment of the student, but that is done in private. I should not make criticism means making no, in public. One is taking a mic and no, like that. Criticism is not public. Right. Criticism is not public. No? That's the point. Yeah. So we have to understand by the mood. We have to understand by the mood. You know, like that. Uh, so. So sometimes the very senior devotees may explain about a particular case to other devotees uh, and bring out a lesson or a warning for everyone. Yeah, that is not in the mood of making not belittling the other person. That is in the mood of offering training. You know, like that. That is the mood of offering training. So we have to understand from the holistic this thing that what is the mood. So but if one is just trying to pull the lug and going around and telling everyone the ill about somebody, then it is not in a helping mood. It is just to prove them down, prove oneself up. So that we have to understand. But reckless public broadcast or unfiltered reckless public broadcast is definitely dangerous. Is definitely what criticism is all about. That is not correct. But the acharyas explain that correction also, even for a teacher, the correction should be given very sensitively, carefully, no, after great consideration. They said that 99 times we should invest in a devotee and one time we get the right to correct. Even for a teacher, even for the counselor or spiritual master. So one should be very careful. Very good. Prakash Bhagavati, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. 8 o'clock we'll have